Take 68.
Today we are doing biographies on every single character in the book Bull Run by Paul Fleischman. First up is the character Colonel Oliver Bradel.
Colonel Oliver Bradel was a colonel of the South. He was hired to advise General Beauregard, who usually didn't seek much advice.
Next up is Shem Suggs. Shem Suggs was an orphan who took care of horses. He couldn't read, but he saw a picture ad in the news. It said if he joined the Confederate cavalry, he could receive a horse. He did this instantly because he was very fond of horses.
Next up is Flora Wheelworth. Her home was near the battlefield, and her daughter's husbands were in the battle.
Next up was Toby Boyce. Toby Boyce was 11 years old, but he wanted to kill Yankees. He was too young to join the actual army, so he joined the army as a musician.
Next up is Virgil Peavy. Virgil Peavy was a Southern soldier whose friend got shot.
Next up is Dr. William Rye. Dr. William Rye was a doctor in charge of keeping 1,000 North Carolina soldiers healthy.
Next up is Judah Jenkins. Judah Jenkins was an 18-year-old Southern courier from Virginia. His job was to deliver messages for the Confederate Army at the Battle of Bull Run. Prior to that, he witnessed Colonel Oliver Ellsworth become the first Union casualty after taking down a Confederate flag.
Next up is Carlotta King. Carlotta King was a slave for a Southern lieutenant from Mississippi. He was taken to the battle by her master. She was a slave looking for an opportunity to run away.
Next up is Lily Malloy. She was a young lady from Minnesota. Her brother ran off to fight for the North.
Next up is Gideon Adams. Gideon Adams was a light-skinned black man. He disguised himself as a white to become a soldier for the North.
Next up is James Dacey. James Dacey was a Boston artist who captured the war through drawings.
Next up is Nathaniel Epp. Nathaniel Epp was a photographer who earned his money by photographing soldiers. Dietrich
Hertz was an immigrant soldier for the Union, originally from Germany, who held a deer, a picture, and a note from the unknown, a troubled woman who sewed his clothes. The note read, "I fear I may take my life."
General Irvin McDowell. He was an unprepared Union general in command at the Battle of Bull Run. He was the only real character in this book.
Next up is A.B. Tilbury. He was known as the Cannoneer for the North from Maine.
Edmund Upwing. He was a carriage driver for people from Washington, D.C. to watch the battle. Thanks for listening. It only took about 122 takes.